everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the Hope Merchant Show. I am your host, Megan Sweet, and I am so very excited to have our guest today, Aimee LeCours, host of the Psych Comedy Show. She has the Pillow Fort podcast with her friend Rue. She does so many other things we are going to learn today. Welcome, Aimee. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Megan. So good to see you. I'm really excited.
Found Aimee through the old Instagram pages because I was interested in other people with therapy backgrounds or who are practicing therapists that also do comedy, which I think is very important. And tell me when the Psych Comedy Show first started.
Let's think about it. Like, I started stand-up about 8 years ago. I'm about 43 now. And so how it started was I was often like the oldest anybody, but also old lady in the rooms of like open mics. Excuse me. And I would be in these open mics and I just didn't feel authentic. I couldn't like be myself. I didn't feel comfortable. So I started thinking, I'm like, how am I most authentic? How am I most me? And as a therapist, I feel very good. Like in group therapy, I was killing it, right? Like I could go up there. I knew what I was doing. I could make people laugh. And so I was like, oh, what if I figured out a way to like mesh those two? So about 2 years ago, I started kind of just noodling that around Orlando. I'm from Orlando. And just like asking different comedians like if they would do it. We did a couple little like dry runs and stuff like that. And then my very first show was probably about a year and a half ago. And basically, I have the stand-up comedians do their sets and then I diagnose them based only on their sets. And I always make sure it's really consensual. You know, it's never
oh, absolutely.
Like, hey, tell me about your dad. You know, it's like literally, it's like I tell each comedian, I'm like, on a scale of 0 to 10, how real do you want to get? And then I'm only diagnosing you on your set. So some people come up and do like a real set and some people do like an improv, you know, so it's like whatever they're comfortable with. And then I give them a diagnosis. And sometimes it's a real diagnosis. Sometimes it gets really real. And sometimes it's like, oh, you know, sometimes I make it silly. I try to mesh the worlds of it being real, silly. And so, about a year and a half ago is when I started.
Nice. Yeah. And you did send me, I did watch one of them and it was very impressive because I could see how that could kind of deviate into so many things. It was very, I mean, I don't remember which one. Was that the first one?
That was the very first one that I sent you. Yeah. And so now I'm getting it recorded. So we have an Orlando Fringe in May and I'll have 4 shows for that coming up. And I'm getting those ones recorded nicely. So the hardest part has been I've recorded shows and then people are like, oh, it got too real. I don't want my mom to know I said that. Or I don't want my job to know that I do drugs. So this one, I'm like, hey, whatever we're using, I want you to feel comfortable, but also we're using this for content. So I'm kind of working on that because it's been really hard to get content because it's been so real first, right? Like I'm always, and I'm mindful about that. Like on stage, even if they tell me, oh, we'll go to a 10 as far as like how real we're going to get. If I see them struggling too much or there's like, you could just see a flashback come. I'm like, I don't dig in. I pull back. I make sure it's still a therapeutic because I don't want them coming back worse. And most of the time, it's been funny. Almost every time I've had a comedian come back and be like, oh, yeah, I do have that disorder. Or, oh, yeah, my wife says I do that. Or, oh, hey, I never went to therapy. I'm going to therapy now. So it's like I started it selfishly, but it's been really cool to see kind of some of the aspects of destigmatizing therapy with it has been really, really fun. I didn't even mean to do that.
Oh, no, that's incredible. Does anybody ever come up to you after the show that was in the audience? Do they ask you to?
Always. And again, afterwards, like I've had some people be like, oh, I went to therapy after this. It's always like pro therapy at the end. I'm like, isn't this fun? Isn't it cool to talk about your feelings? Because in the beginning, I do therapeutic crowd work. You saw that. I've gotten a little better at that since I sent you that one. But I always do an activity because, you know, regular crowd work is usually people being mean, like, oh, hey, you got a shirt on that looks stupid and your wife is whatever, you know what I mean? I wanted to like twist that and I make sure that it's therapeutic in the beginning. So, and the joke that I say about that is like, hey, you know, you're getting like $20 worth of therapy right now. You know what I mean? So I try to give every person a little bit of therapy before they leave and then just get people excited about it. Because as a therapist, I love it. I've always loved it. I think it's fun. I don't think it's scary. And a lot of people, you know, do think therapy is really scary.
What brought you into the field of therapy in general?
Yeah,
Like when
I love that question. So and it's funny. I'm glad you're a therapist because sometimes I'll say the answer and non-therapists are like, they get scared, So, you know how that is. Like we're so used to talking about sad stuff, and then we say it, and then normies get scared of us. But when I was 12, trigger warning, my brother did try to commit suicide,
oh
and I was 12. He's 5 years older than me. And so he was always a pretty depressed kid. And we went to family therapy. And he also went inpatient for, I think, like a month. And so during that time was the first time I ever knew or learned about that world. And I remember going to family therapy and leaving a session and being like, oh, I can get paid to talk for a living. Like, oh, I can get paid to help people for a living. So since 12 years
wow.
old, I've always wanted to be a therapist.
Thank you for sharing that too
Mhm.
on this. Did you feel like your family also had a good reaction to the
No,
process of therapy?
no,
That's hard when
it was
how
bad.
did I know? How did I
I was talking about that on a podcast last week that I was on. And I was like, not to
know?
generalize, but almost every person that's in comedy either has like a bad dad or like no dad. It's just like a
Oh,
common theme. And my dad's not bad, but my dad, he's just got his own demons. So no, he did not take well to it because he took that stance of everybody's against me,
oh,
not a growth stance. He's much better these years, like these later years, he's great. But back in those days, he just was a masculine dude that did not want to talk about their feelings. And then
mm,
my mom, she was just kind of a quiet, kind of mousy lady. So I remember my brother getting better. Thankfully, that's the whole thing.
yeah.
He ended up getting better. He's still better to this day. He still has his episodes and stuff like that. But it really helped him a lot. But as a family, no, it didn't. But we only went as a family like twice, I think. So my
Oh,
brother's the
wow.
one that got the intensive care, thankfully. But as far as the family stuff, I wish we had gone like intensively. I think it would have saved me a
Yeah,
lot of years of a lot of things.
2 years, 2 sessions, I would say, isn't enough to even
Nothing.
break through the wall of
Nope.
the smallest issue.
And
So,
then we never talked about it again. Like it was never brought up
wow.
again.
Oh,
Never.
man.
Mm-mm. We
Oh,
don't.
gosh.
We didn't tell. And that's kind of how it was growing up. Like I was always. I had a lot of friends and I did a lot of stuff, but I wasn't home. Like I moved out of my house when I was like 16, so I wasn't,
Oh,
like close to them. So but that time that being 12, like seeing that, I just thought that was really powerful, and then I was obsessed with it since. I love therapy and psychology, and I went to my undergrad for therapy, my master's, my license. I love it.
does your husband go to your
Not too
shows?
much. No, my husband
Mm,
is he's a musician, so I used to go to his
mm.
shows a lot. And then he would take me to the open mics here and there, but it was a nightmare. I was just so nervous. Couldn't get it together. And I remember like one time he's like, you're just like not being yourself up there, And I always think about that. Like I always keep that now, like be authentic, be yourself. And so he's home a lot because he's taking care of the kid, so that's helpful too. So he stays with
Yeah, definitely.
my kid all these years. So I haven't brought him to much. And I get nervous. Like again, like the people that know you the most when you're trying to like be on stage and like be hammy or work through something or what what I mean. So no, he doesn't come, but we do. He does help me write a lot and like work through bits.
I gave my husband a hard time just because for a while he would come to the show and give me notes. I'm like, I didn't ask for
See, mine would
your
too.
notes. You never did stand up. Like, how would you know?
How
Like,
do you deal with it? What do you
you,
say to him?
I made it a joke. Did you now also, we had mentioned earlier the Pillow Fort podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and the name was the first question I have. What is the significance of the name
So the
itself? Right.
name Pillow Fort is basically we want people to feel like they're just in this little fun space that they can just gab and like feel comfortable to like Pillow Fort talk. Now,
I love
one
that.
ongoing joke is that it's like pillow talk, and then like and I made all these like things that were too sexy as far as like music and branding, and Rue's like, this isn't a sexy podcast. So one of our little taglines is, it's not a sexy podcast, but we talk about our boobs and all of our stuff a lot. So but the name came from just wanting to have a fun little time. One day I would love to have, or we would love to have, an actual like set that looks like a pillow fort,
Oh
or a
yeah.
live show that has like a pillow fort. We haven't gotten to that yet, but that's kind of one day. Hopefully, we'll have that.
Well, hopefully this episode right here will bring you
Yes,
like
I love
everything you've ever desired.
it. Yay!
And I'm proud to do that. And the wonderful, wonderful partner that
Yeah,
you do the
Rue
podcast with. Yeah.
Nafisa. She's
How
amazing.
did you two meet?
I love her. She's younger than me. She's now just 30. She had a really cool show in town for a while called Silly Geese, where she would book stand up and improv, and it was just perfect. It was so fun. It was weird and it was silly, and she just brought this breath of fresh energy and air to
Oh,
our comedy scene. I had been, that was 2 years ago, so like I had been 5 years in, getting kind of tired after COVID times, right after COVID. And she just came in and like started booking shows and doing stand up. And her stand up is really whimsical and like smart and funny. And so I was like, I want to be her friend. So
oh,
I started going to her shows and stuff like that. And she could come to mine. And then we just started hanging out. And then we talked about a podcast. And like, honestly, I just wanted to hang out with her. I was like, okay, how about we do this and we make it fun and make it silly? Done most of it streaming on like StreamYard and stuff like that. And then we've tried to do more in person and tried to build it. But again, when we do too much, then it gets to be a little overwhelming. So it always goes back to like, let's have fun with it. We're going to take a cruise in a couple weeks. We're going to do some content around that.
oh
I
my
just love her.
gosh.
She's just the best.
I think the really funny part with all of this is that like you were not happy with me. That particular day was so high to low and all around. And we were about to get into Scarlet Night and how we were dressed up as crustaceans. So I was a lobster and Aimee was a crab.
And so Rue does her first one, she does her lobster one, and like she does a cute. So I did like a crab, like
you did so well. I watched that back. I was like, damn, Aimee got
learning experience, because like as you'll go through this process too, it's like it's a fun way to make content without like forcing yourself to go to a mic, or there's still work involved and you're still working on bits. It makes your bits last in a more sustainable way, because we'll talk about something on the podcast and then I'll do it as stand up, and then sometimes we'll do like a sketch, and then sometimes we'll do an improv, and then you have a record of it. So now that we have 40 episodes and each one is a topic, like those are all premisi that we could use, and I love that. So it's a nice way to kind of document all that. I love that.
Thinking you're a smart businesswoman.
I mean, I'm not making any money off of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, if anybody wants to go ahead and donate, or
yes, I'll
give you
a
studio.
Absolutely. Yes,
you can give me one too.
Yes.
Oh, you just brought up the Comedy Collective. That's the Florida Comedy Collective. Yeah, can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah. So on that note that we're talking about sustainability, like been doing this for a few years now and breaking even. Like at least I'm not losing money anymore. And even with my psych show, like I sold it out in Chicago. We sold it out here, not bragging. And I pretty much sold it out.
Brag away.
Right. But I've sold it out a bunch of places, and I'm breaking even. I'm like, how do people do this? And if I'm traveling, I'm going negative, right? So that's why I don't travel with the show, because I want to pay my comedians. I want to pay everybody that's involved with the show, and it's just really expensive. So my friend Chandy and I, Chandy Burke, her and I have a long form duo called Rotisserie, of improv duo. And we've been hanging out, and we were just like, we need money and we need space. We need money and space. And so we created the Florida Comedy Collective that got a nonprofit status last year, but we're just now getting it launched in our launch parties in March. And the whole purpose is to get grants, to get funding, to get donations, to be able to keep local comedy going. Because even if you're doing an open mic, even if you're doing a little showcase like my shit sandwich showcase, like those things cost money. It costs money if you want to pay your comedians. It costs money to do promo. It costs money to drive. And so that is our goal, is one, to be able to pay for the shows that we're currently doing. Her and I run anywhere from 3 to 10 different type of shows in town. I want to be able to pay everybody, because like my shit sandwich show, I don't pay anybody. The venue pays the host, but I don't pay my people, and I hate that. So that's
is that why it's called Shit Sandwich?
Yes, because shit. Yes, no, but that show's been around for 13 years in Orlando, and
wow,
it's amazing. I didn't start it. It was started by someone called Matt Gersting. But we don't have, I don't want to keep on, I don't want to, that show's free. I don't want to raise prices because I want people to enjoy the comedy. And then the bar is a small bar. So they're, not rich by any means. And like, I want to keep this sustainable. And it's like, how? So I was like, nonprofit. So hopefully we can get grants and keep on doing this more to be able to pay absolutely. And then keep on doing these things because, it's expensive. So hopefully, if anybody wants to donate, they can go to floridacomedycollective.com, reach out, and even, or donate space. Cause it's really hard to find space to practice. It's hard to find space that's free for shows. It's just hard to keep it going because it's money. If anybody wants to donate, they can go to floridacomedycollective.com, reach out, and even, or donate space. Cause it's really hard to find space to practice. It's hard to find space that's free for shows. It's just hard to keep it going because it's money.
I will put the link into,
thank you,
in the description of our interview here. So people can just go ahead and click on that.
Love it.
Make it a little easier for them. Money for very good things that make people laugh. And that's better for your mental health and your physical health. And
it is
just getting through the shit sandwich of the world right now.
And on top of it too, so the other part that we're really pushing that I love is, like last week we did like an open mic and write night, right? So it's like the first hour, and we did in this really cute space.
I saw that,
yoga space.
Yeah.
They have all therapists on the top floor, and then they have a yoga studio, and then they have this vegan little cafe that we're doing our stuff in. And so the first hour we talk about emotions and how to turn emotions into comedy. And then the next hour we do an open mic for it. And it was amazing. It was our first one that we did. It was our very first FCC event. And it was like, there was a couple there that had been there 50 years and writing poems. It was just, it's so needed. We need people to use their emotions in a healthy, positive way. And that's the whole vibe of what FCC is.
Yeah, I was going to, one of the questions I was going to ask, and now you've led me right to it. It's just, I don't know what, I guess I'm trying not to say advice as much, but words of enlightenment for those who've, always wanted to try to kind of shift their perspective into using their emotions and getting it out this way versus internalizing their emotions or just feeling like they're not good enough or whatever. Do you have any words of enlightenment?
I do. Like, I love the thought or the idea of like how to actually process an emotion. I love that concept because people are like, oh, I'm from, my parents are boomers. I'm a Zennial, but Gen X, like that whole world and, beyond, we didn't talk about stuff. It was like, make a joke about it or move on. Like I talked about like with my family, like we did not talk about things. And so really teaching ourselves, okay, this is an emotion, identifying it. And as a therapist, I'm speaking to the choir, but here's our emotion. What does it mean? How is it affecting me? And then where does it go? Right. So I love turning that into something. And it's like, people are like, oh, it's like, making jokes about sad stuff. No, it's truly understanding how to get it through your brain and your body and then turning it into something. And then the really powerful thing is that it connects you to the other humans, right? Like, oh, you feel that way? Or, oh, there was a girl that I saw recently in a local show that was talking about making really, really good jokes about OCD. And I, with the neurodivergent stuff, I have some OCD stuff, like, especially when I was a kid, about like, oh, if I do this, I'm gonna die, or like some, and stuff that I always felt kind of shameful because there was like ruminating thing. Anyways, she went up there and it was beautiful and perfect. And I was like, oh, I've never heard anybody talk about that. Right. Like the OCD thing of like, oh, if you don't say this one word, you think your mother's going to die and you believe that. Right. Like that sounds insane. And so,
but that's,
that person talk about that, I had never seen that. So I think the more that we do, whether it's jokes, whether it's improv, whether it's writing, I think having that one helps us. And then when you create something that people can access, it makes them feel way less alone and be able to connect. So I think it's a really beautiful thing.
That was very, very nicely put. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was enlightening, if I may say. Do you have any words for people that, it might be very difficult culturally for them because of the stigma in the world, but yes, stay in the comedy world as your therapy, but also
get real therapy.
If you can get access to real, which is not easy, we know.
It's not.
We've made it very difficult for people in the world to get what they need, but
it is. I think, one covert way, like I got I think I got my first ADHD diagnosis through my primary care doctor. Like,
okay.
I was there and talking about my brain and how it wasn't connecting and like I could, and then he's like, oh, do you think you might have this? I was like, I don't know. And then he gave me, an assessment and he's like, yeah, you absolutely have this. Like, how have you been living? And then, so
how old were you?
That was only a few years ago. I only got my diagnosis a few years ago. Because we all know that ADHD in women looks like, overachieving, looks like, quirkiness, funniness. But like, if I go back
like a stand-up comedian, you just you do stand up? Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. You
because if I go back in time, well, I think about when I was a kid and I was like, oh my God, I absolutely. And so the big thing was when my kid got her diagnosis of ADHD, and then she got accommodations, at school, like, oh, you can get up and walk around, or you can have somebody read this to you. Like, and it made a huge difference. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I was not very good in school and my memory was very, very bad. And like, if I had had that, how much shame would have been lifted for me. And years of work that I thought I was just not smart because I couldn't remember things. And so I just learned how to be funny so people wouldn't look at like my other deficits. So long and short is my first diagnosis that I got was from a PCP. So primary care doctor. So if someone's like, oh, I don't want to go to a therapist, you can go to your medical provider and ask them first. And then they can maybe prescribe you something and or give you a referral to mental health. So that's kind of a covert way where nobody would even know that you're asking for help with that. And then I think the other thing that's kind of like cool is there is lots of online therapy now. And I've done it. I do prefer it in person, but online is a nice gateway.
I absolutely love how you have merged the two things you have so much passion and insight for into a way that helps you and inspires so many others. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for thinking about it, and thanks for having me and talking about it. I love it.
Always, if it's okay, would you be okay with us taking a screenshot? That's my little advertisement. Like, hey,
pull my hair back down.
I did another interview.
Let's do it.
1, 2, 3.